Shout out to G-Man Boxing. Where's the piss bottle? It's over there.
Alright, so today Frank Warren discussed the possibility of a show in October. Likelihood is that we'll have Joe Joyce on it, which, probably be against someone like Marco Huck or someone like that. But on that show, and it's around about October 9th, they're looking to do the rematch between Anthony Yarde and Lyndon Arthur. Now, there's been so much back and forth with that. I mean, Frank Warren put a show on there at the start of this month. Was meant to have Yarde and Arthur on it in separate fights. Subsequently, it did have Arthur's on it. Yarde's opponent pulled out for a reason. I don't even know why he pulled. I think he said just unforeseen circumstance, so God knows what it was. But, look, we want to see these two guys fight. Anthony Yarde is a very talented, very athletic, very gifted fighter. For someone to come from a background he had, what I mean by that is no boxing background, 12 amateur fights, not at a particularly high level, to be able to, when did he turn pro? 2015. So essentially he's gone, we'll put it like this, right? The Charlos turned pro in 2007. Don't quote me on that. It could have been a little bit later than that, but it was the 2008, 9, 10, something like that. But it was years before they were able to kind of come in at world level. So you're looking at Anthony Yarde, who within 5 years, okay, fair enough, he went straight back down to domestic level, I'll give you that. But the fact he was able to hang there against even a faded champion at that shows a level of confidence, a level of ability, natural ability, that the average fighter doesn't have. To be able to go into the Lions Den, which it was in Russia, it shows something. Now, Yarde in the first fight with Lyndon Arthur, he showed some strengths in terms of defense. I remember Lyndon Arthur wasn't throwing his right hand. He was asked, and people thought he had an injury to his right hand, and he said no, Yarde was hard to hit with the right hand. So it shows a certain level of ability there in terms of being able to take a punch away. It shows that Yarde's head movement, although it's not as good as I think maybe he thinks it is, it's still good. It shows that Yarde is a talented fighter. And when he really did try and put it on Lyndon Arthur, as he did in the 12th round, he had great success. So for me, and I mean no disrespect to Lyndon Arthur with this, Yarde lost that fight more than Arthur's won it. And I believe that in a rematch, Yarde really should be beating Lyndon Arthur's. He really, really should. The question there then is well, there's two questions. If he does go into this rematch, and we have a substantially improved Lyndon Arthur from his last fight, if he beats Anthony Yarde again, it really does appear to be that that's last chance Saloon, that the ship is well and truly sailed at that point. I know we talk about fighters so often that one loss doesn't define them, and of course it's normally the case. One loss doesn't define them. I think it's something that's used too much now in boxing. Oh, you've lost the fight, oh, you're garbage. No, it's not always the case. But with Yarde, he is now in his 30s. Back a couple of years ago, we could say he's plenty of time. The time, especially nowadays, the clock is ticking. With Anthony Yarde, he's never won even the British title. Not a Commonwealth. Has he won it? I think he's won an area title. That's about it. At this level, British level. So for Yarde, if he can't crack British level, is there much hope of him getting up to world level, European level? We'll say world level because that's where they want to get back to. We look at the champions, Dmitry Bivol. Some people would say he's the weak link of all the champions. He's still a tremendously talented, very gifted fighter. Artur Beterbiev, killer. Straight up killer at 175 pounds. Joe Smith Jr., although from a technical point of view he's not as good as the other two, Joe Smith Jr. is a massive light heavyweight, a big puncher, very physically strong. He will wear you down. I think his style, some people would say it would benefit Yarde. I don't necessarily. I think that Joe Smith's sheer work rate, his sheer strength and punching power, that could cause Yarde an awful lot of problems. An awful lot. And I'd be heavily favouring Joe Smith Jr. in that fight. So for Anthony Yarde, I'm at a stage now with him where I'm looking at Yarde. And you know me, I've made videos about Yarde before saying I believe he'll do this, I believe he'll do that. Because I've always felt, I don't want to say I bought into the hype, but I always felt that looking at the eye test, the skill test, there is something there. But now we're kind of getting to the stage where it's like, if there is something there, you need to show it now, because it's now or never. Might not be a world title fight, but you may treat this as a world title fight, Lyndon Arter. I still see a lot of potential in Yarde. I still believe he can do something. Maybe not at light heavyweight. Maybe they may need to look at going up a division, the cruiserweight. You never know. He is a very big boy at light heavyweight. It goes without saying. It's been well known for several years now that 175 is not exactly straightforward for Anthony Yarde, so it may be worth exploring other options in terms of going up the cruiserweight, if that is the case. This Lyndon Arter's fight, because bear in mind, Artis has had the benefit of having an interim fight. Yarde, as far as I'm aware, won't have. I don't think he has anyway, or will by the time they get in the ring, because there's certainly no mention of him. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on in this rematch, how he gets on mentally. You know, people love to criticise Tunde Ajayi, and I'll put my hands up. I've criticised him plenty on this channel before. I've criticised him in terms of his PR approach, more so than his actual approach as a trainer. Some things as a trainer I've questioned, the lack of sparring, yes. But in terms of what he's taught Anthony, in terms of the physical point of view, you know, being able to look as polished as he is, I have no real issue with Tunde as a trainer in that aspect. You know, he's shown to me to really have a good boxing brain, good, you know, knowledge of the sport. But it's just his PR. His personality is a kind of Marmite personality. Some people like his confidence. Some people like the stuff that he comes out with. Other people, it really sets him up the wrong way. We've seen him have trouble with fighters in the past in terms of them staying with him. O'Hara Davis, I think, going and trained with him for about 2 or 3 fights. That was the start of O'Hara Davis's career, and he left Tunde Ajayi. Now we know O'Hara Davis can be a bit of a Marmite character himself, and you can kind of see how that would go. You know, 2 big, strong egos clashing. It's gonna end in tears, basically. Sometimes it can work, but those 2 guys, you can see that was never going to work. With Yarde and Tunde, he spoke about at the start of this year changing things up. I wonder if that was something that was crossing his mind, getting rid of Tunde, but he decided at the last minute, you know, I've been loyal to him, he's been loyal to me, let's keep it going. At the end of the day, familiarity breeds content. This is not me, I mean this for most fighters. If you feel you're getting stale with a certain trainer, you should look elsewhere. Yarde now going into this rematch, you know, it's not officially signed, but they're saying it's pretty much a done deal that it's going to be for Commonwealth title and number 1 rank with the WBO. Actually, speaking of, they said it might be actually for the WBO number 1 rank. Difference between that and a mandatory, but let's say it is a mandatory, and you know, winner gets to fight Joe Smith. I mean, that's an interesting one. Would they put Yarde straight back in at world level? I don't know. I think that this fight will be good. This will be better than the first fight. But I'm going to be picking Anthony Yarde to win this fight. But for me, in my opinion, with Yarde, this really is last chance saloon. Some of you may disagree and say, no, gee, you're being a bit too harsh. If he doesn't win, they can do the X, Y, and Z. He can change trainer. He can do this. I'm looking at Yarde and I'm thinking, the guy in his 30s, how much time can we give him before enough is enough? How much leeway can we give him before enough is enough? You know, it was too soon going up against Kovalev. It nearly paid off. It was an educated gamble. It didn't quite pay off. Going back down to British level, losing to Lyndon Arter in a fight that you really shouldn't have lost. You really weren't busy enough. If you lose a rematch, it's not a good look. I'll leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts. I'd be interested to know what everyone else's thoughts in the comments are of this rematch. Who you think will win? If you think Anthony Yarde will learn from his mistakes, take this rematch, you know, lions in the camp, all that stuff, or do you think that actually, do you know what, he was someone with so little experience? We should have seen it then. We should have known that he needed a long time to even get up to British level. Lest we forget, I think it was 2017, I think it was, when Anthony Yarde or Team Yarde were looking at fighting Frank Buglioni, who was British champion at the time, and Jose Burton, who had actually been beaten by Frank Buglioni the year before, came out to challenge Anthony Yarde, and you know, I think Matchroom were willing to even put up money for that fight. Jose Burton, a big 6'4", rangy, I don't know, he's not a southpaw, I think he's orthodox, but still very rangy. Team Yarde seemed very reluctant to take that fight, but they seemed to be content on fighting Frank Buglioni again, different style. Looking back in retrospect, had they fought Jose Burton, he probably would have outboxed Anthony Yarde. In fact, he probably would have boxed Anthony Yarde's head off. You know, that was 4 years ago. This is now, he's still kind of in around that level. Are you writing him off after this fight, you know, if he loses, or what? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to leave it there. Don't want this video to go on too long, because I'm really, really tired. And you can probably tell in this video, I've probably been a bit all over the place at times, but I'm absolutely jaded. Let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are on Yarde Arters 2. What do you think about Anthony Yarde going forward? And interestingly, I'd also like to know what your thoughts on Lydon Arters are, you know. I've said that Lydon Arter is what he is. I've done reviews on his fights before, spoke about him before. He's a kind of safety first, rangy, kind of back foot jabber. But you never know. Let me know what you think he could do. Maybe he could do something. You never know. Let me know in the comment section. If you could on the way out, smash the like button, you know, hit subscribe, and notification bell helps your boy out. You know, if you can do that, really help. For now, lads and lassies, I'm going to leave you with that. I'll try and get a few more videos in before I head away this weekend. For now, peace.